Welcome to a new video on my channel. I hope you're fine. Today I want to give you an update about the latest Q2 earnings of Proterra. And over here you can see what I'm going to cover in the video. But before I start, just a quick reminder, this is no financial advice and I'm no financial advisor. And please keep in mind also that I'm invested in the company and therefore I'm biased. So what about the Q2 revenue? The company posted a record revenue of 74.6 million, which is comprised of around 51 million from the transit segment and around 24 million from the powered and energy segment. So as you can see over here, been rather slight growth in comparison to the first quarter for the powered and energy sector. However, the transit sector is well on track to get back to the latest numbers, so this is a positive sign. And the net loss has been decreasing from 50 million in quarter 1 to around 42 million in quarter 2. So all in all, this is a positive result. I would have loved the powered and energy section to increase a little bit more, but any growth I think is good in this circumstance, especially since the company also highlighted that especially the powered and energy section has been under supply chain issues as well, and they apparently increased a little bit as well. So therefore I'm okay with a small growth of around 3% quarter over quarter. I think most important is the bus or the transit segment and that they get the second shift running. So this is in my opinion the most important thing right now. So let's have a look at the overview. If you want, this is the detailed overview beginning in Q1 2020. I jump over to the next slide because then it's a little bit better from the visibility. It's only the beginning of 2021 and 2022. And as you can see, the battery systems have been increasing pretty nicely, I'd say. However, the growth has been slowing, which definitely is also a normal thing if you're just in the ramp-up phase. So this is the most positive, I think, in comparison with the transit revenue. And as you can see, with around 51 million, this is almost as high as in the quarter 4 of 2021. And what you can also see that the margin has been improving again. Now we're almost back to 1 million per bus. And as you can see, it has been lower than this in quarter 1 2022. The company also expects the margins to be improving in the second half of 2022 due to the renegotiations they had with the prices. So this is also probably being better in the second half of the year. However, if you now have a look at the megawatt charging infrastructure which has been installed in this quarter, this is down 10% quarter over quarter. However, they also stated that they still have issues with the supply chain. So this is not, I think, not big of an issue. However, something to keep in mind for the future. And now let's jump over to the overview about the Proterra powered revenue. So this is also something pretty interesting, I'd say. Now the colors are a little bit different, but you see again the battery systems which they produced, which then either go into the their own vehicles or they sell it. And this has been increasing nicely. However, the battery production in megawatt has been lower than in quarter 1 2022. So only it's 3, even if it's only 3 megawatt lower, it's still a little bit lower. So something to look out for in the future. Also, the percent of revenue has been decreasing. However, this is partially due to the increasing revenue in the transit area. So I still think 30% is quite a good result in this case. Now let's jump over to the cash and cash equivalent. This has been reducing around 76 million from quarter 1 to quarter 2. They still have around 520 million of cash and cash equivalents left. And as I did in the last quarter as well, I checked again about their guidance. how likely I think they will be able to achieve it. They reaffirmed their guidance for 300 to 325 million of revenue in 2022, and the revenue of the first half of 2022 for their Powered&Energy system sector has been around 47 millions, which is then around 3 million short of the run rate which they need to achieve the 100 million for the section Powered&Energy. So what about the whole guidance? Is it still realistic? The revenue for the first half was around 134 million in total, which means that they need around 166 to 191 million to achieve the guidance. And this then definitely needs an acceleration of the revenue. I calculated it and how much of revenue they need per quarter, and this is now around or between 83 million and 95 million to achieve the guidance, which is up between 3 and 7 million quarter over quarter. So even though they had their highest revenue in the quarter ever, they still need to ramp up significantly to achieve this. And as I mentioned before, I think this just comes down to the transit area. If we subtract the around 24-25 million from the Powered&Energy segment, they have to produce between 60 and 70 buses per quarter, which is a little bit over their highest quarter results. So they definitely need to install a second shift. However, I think it would be enough to have a ramp up of the second shift in the next quarter and then a full quarter of a second shift in the quarter 4 to achieve these numbers. Yeah, but we'll see how they can proceed with this ramp up. And then I think if they achieve it, it all comes down, or whether they achieve it, it all comes down with the ramp up. And my suspicion is that they will be on the lower range of this revenue. And again, the comparison to the initial projection, which is they are well short of. However, they reduced the guidance, I think, on the end of last year, so there's nothing new over here. And also, there's no update on the backlog. They said they only give update on the backlog once a year. However, they could say that the demand has been healthy. They still reaffirmed their information about the infrastructure bill, that there are 1.3 billion in federal grants available in 2022, which still has to be released. And they also gave an update about the problems with the shortages. I think there was no significant update for the transit area. However, they I think made a more general comment about electrical components which are missing. However, as I mentioned before, the energy segment had also a shortage of switchgear 2, which negatively affect the output. The company could reaffirm their start of production at the site of Korea, which is expected to in late of 2022. So this is a positive sign over here. They did not get any updates for the second shift for the transit segment, and also no significant update about the supply chain. However, I think the supply chain issue improved because they could ramp up the transit output, and also the inventory has been increasing around, I think, 40 million to around 148 million in total. So this is also a positive sign. Positive note as well is the improvement of margin, which the company expect in the second half of 2022 due to the negotiations on prices, and also the more positive due to the better price mix which we'll have in the second half. Also, something pretty positive is that the company stated that they had on the one hand received recurring orders for the transit area from services or Edmonton Transit Services, and also Metrolink, I think, was one of the companies they mentioned, as well as new orders like Ontario International Airport Authorities, and also I think APQ Ride in Albuquerque was the other one they mentioned. So this is definitely a positive sign. They also mentioned that the demand for the charging infrastructure has been increasing. So this is also a good sign that they say if the companies order new transit buses, they normally also order together the charging solutions, which is definitely really good. And they also mentioned that the awards of the federal grants are expected to be announced during the next quarter. So this might also be some tailwind. So what are the points I will be considering in the future? First, as always, supply chain issues. What about part shortages? How do they develop? This is always something to keep in mind. The next, in my opinion, together with the supply chain, most critical point is the addition of a new shift for the scale up in the transit area, and also the start of production of the new factory in Greer. And I updated also the development of the cash and cash equivalents. Now the cash should be sufficient for 1.8 to 3.1 years, depending on how you calculate it. First one for around 2 years, I calculated the decrease in cash divided by the cash on balance sheet, and for the 3 years I took the net loss for the quarter. So, however, there might still be dilution coming in maybe 1 or 2 years. So this is always the potential for these young companies. The inflation and their impact on the margins, as they mentioned on the call, also the inflation has been negatively impacting the margins. And right now they showed the ability to increase prices, and this will be interesting to see in the future how this develops. So to sum it up, I think it was a pretty good quarter with some downfalls. Like I mentioned, the shortages of supply chain is still an issue also, which results in these shortages that they are not able to scale up efficiently, and therefore don't have a second shift installed in the transit area. These are I think the most downturns. Also a small negative point is the slight decrease from the megawatt installed from the charging area, and also the decrease in the manufacturing of megawatt in the battery production, even though the amount of batteries output has been increasing. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, have a good day. Bye bye.